Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here, returning to you for this quick, well, not quick, but an album review tonight for Badflower's new record, No Place Like Home, that I got a chance to listen to for myself, see what I was going to think of this record overall. So I'm going to discuss what I listened to for the 13 tracks on this record, which is almost a 50-minute album, and let you know my thoughts on their third long-awaited studio album, No Place Like Home. So let's dive into this album review. Now it starts with the title track as the opening track, No Place Like Home, which is a pretty good song in its own way. I mean, the way Josh is singing this track overall, I think it did alright for what it went for. So basically, it's a 4.75 out of 5 for this track. Um, So the next track is Haunting You, which is a pretty good song for sure. I really enjoyed the guitar work and drum work in this track. Did very well for the execution. So I was really impressed with this track. So 5 out of 5 is deserving for this track. Then we get to London, which is kind of a song that I'm not sure if I am on board with, but I think it's a good track in its own way. I think with how Josh is singing this track from time to time, there are some cringe moments during this track that I felt were a little on the safe side with this song. But it's overall executes alright. So 4.5 out of 5. Story of Our Lives is a pretty good track for how it sounds. I know London and Haunting You were the singles for the record. But overall, I think with Story of Our Lives to get back on track. I think this song sounded alright for Josh's singing, and there were some moments where there were some monotone, weird vocals from him that were coming in that I don't know if I was connecting with, but other than that, it's pretty good for how it sounds, so 4.75 out of 5. Then comes Snuff, which is a track definitely that was pretty good in its own way. I think with this track, um, there was a lyric in here where um, Josh sings shaking like Parkinson's or something that was a little cringy right there. It was like, are you kind of making fun of people with Parkinson's, or are you just making fun of the fact of the matter? But it sounded like it, but I know that's not what the intention was. The intent was. But overall, I think with this track, it's alright. So it's a 4.75 out of 5 for Snuff. Pretty good song. The drumming in it's pretty good, and the chorus is the highlight of the track for sure. Swinging Hammer is a pretty strong song. It's going to get a 4.75 out of 5. It's another one of the highlights for the record. It's not a personal favorite, but it is a highlight on this record. I think the drumming in it's pretty good. Josh is singing in it's pretty strong, and overall the guitar work is pretty good for the most part. So this is a 4.75 out of 5. It does have a few critiques. Well, I have a few critiques with it, but not to the extent where I thought it was terrible. It was pretty good in its own way. Detroit was one of the singles for the record. I think it was the first single actually for this record. Then they had a few other singles after that. I think Detroit, Pause, London, Haunting You, Snuff, and yeah, those were the only songs that I know that were singles. But other than that, um, Detroit was a really strong track. I really liked the build up and the chorus. Sounds really strong with all of them singing in the chorus. Did very well for the most part, and the chanting vocals in the background sounded pretty good. So, really enjoying this track. Definitely a song to play at their live show for sure. Something they can play at their live show and have fans sing along to it. It's a good sing along track for sure. 5 out of 5. What's the Point is a pretty good song in its own way. I'd give this a 4.75 out of 5. I think Josh's singing in it does have its weird tendencies with how he sings it, but it does alright for the execution of the track. 4.75 out of 5. Don't Be a Stranger was a really melodic song, very mellow, but I think it works to an extent, and it makes the track go smoothly with how the melody is sounding. Josh's singing is pretty strong, and for the most part, there were some moments in the track that I felt had its weak moments with the melody structure, but it did pretty well in its own way. 4.75 out of 5. Pause was another one of the singles, which was a pretty strong single, but it wasn't one of my particular favorites of the songs, but it is a highlight for this record. So a 4.75 out of 5 is overdue for it. It's a pretty good track in its own way. I think Josh's singing did pretty well in it, and the drumming is pretty strong along with the guitar work. Number one was definitely a song about the Hollywood fame and all that. So definitely was talking about the lifestyles of the rich and famous and all that shit. So they were kind of poking fun at that, this song. But it did pretty well for the most part, this track. So 4.75 out of 5. I had a little critique with some of the way it's structured. Not to the extent where I really hated it. It's another highlight for the record. Let Me Get Something Off My Chest did have some moments where Josh's singing did get underwhelming at times, where he did some annoying moaning sings. It just sounded weird, but then as you progress through the track, it gets a little better. But other than that, it's a 4.75 out of 5 for this track too. It's strong. It's just probably one of the least favorite ones, but not terrible. And then finally, the album closes out with Butterfly, which is a pretty good closing track to the record in its own way. I think execution-wise, Josh's singing did have its good moments and some weak moments as you listen to the track. But overall, for how it sounded, it's pretty good. And it plays it safe. So 4.75 out of 5. Overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I think Badflower's No Place Like Home. Sorry, I was slurring with my wording. I think this was a good record. It's not as pretty good as the last record. The last record was a little better than this. So I think this was an interesting follow-up, but it wasn't one of my favorites, if I'm being honest. It's probably, it's alright for the most part. I mean, some of the songs may grow on me, but for the most part, I think Badflower's new album, No Place Like Home, did a good job for what it set out to do. It's going to be on my decent to good albums of 2025. It's not going to be one of the personal favorite records, but it is probably the best record you're going to get for this Friday's releases. It's a strong record in its own way. It's good for how it sounds, but if I were to give Badflower No Place Like Home its deserved score, I'm feeling a solid 8 out of 10. It's a good listen. I definitely recommend you guys check this release out. I mean, maybe this will grow on me and it'll probably make it to my best albums. Who knows? But I just didn't feel that it was necessarily an album to be on my best albums, if you get what I'm saying. I felt that it could have been if there was a little more, not so much cringe moments through this record with how Josh is singing some of the tracks. But overall, with the execution, I think they offered something interesting with this one for the third studio album. So, Badflower, No Place Like Home, 8 out of 10 for this record. I hope you enjoyed this album review tonight, and thank you guys for watching. Have a good night.